All right, we're back for the responsible homeowner, or the pretty little girl that lives in the house, or the pretty thing that lives in the house.
I am the pretty thing that lives in the house.
That's it. Now, this is our second attempt, and over the course of this, the first attempt was corrupted. We can't use it. I've learned a couple things. First off, if you use free software, it's likely going to ruin everything, and you're going to have to stay up all night re-recording. And two, if I don't particularly care for a movie, I, according to all those people that had heard the original, sound like a hostage victim being forced against their will to narrate a podcast. Now, on that happy note, let's start at the beginning. Let's go through a brief recap of everything, our initial thoughts of the movie. What did you think of the movie when we watched it?
I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, but I thought that it was shot beautifully, so I did like that part of it. But I guess we should probably recap the movie a little bit.
So the movie's pretty straightforward in my eyes. It's following around a hospice nurse that's caring for an elderly author, and
Mrs. Blum.
And
Lily is a hospice nurse.
Lily is the hospice nurse. She takes care of Mrs. Blum in a haunted house, and
it's not a haunted house. It's a house that is haunted.
All right, it's not a Halloween haunted house where you go and you get scared by clown masks, but it's a house that has a ghost in it, which is a haunted house, or a house that is haunted.
Thank you.
It's like Hanged versus Hung. It doesn't really matter, although there is a difference.
It does matter. It makes a difference.
It doesn't matter.
If you say it's a haunted house, then you picture one of those movies where you're going in and all of a sudden there's like, those corridors and those mirror things and the...
You're not going to let this go. You can't move on back to the actual podcast. All right. Now, so she takes care of Mrs. Blum in a house with a ghost, and she finds all this moldy shit in the house, and...
You don't need to give all of it in case people haven't seen it. That's just the general premise. You follow a woman who's a hospice nurse around, and she...
That's basically it. That's the movie.
Right.
I mean, that's
and
done.
You just find out...
And scene.
No, but also that Mrs. Blum's a writer, and Lily reads Mrs. Blum's books, which lead to
the
extenuating
ending.
Circumstances.
That's one way to avoid spoilers, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's a brief recap of the I Am the Pretty Thing That Was in the House. Now, where do we go from there?
Well, okay, so the reason I picked this movie was because I heard like a review of it on Werewolf Ambulance, and they didn't seem to love the movie either, but they liked it. But they mentioned that it was from Braintree, Massachusetts. So I wanted to see the movie so I could see if there were like, locations we could visit, maybe see where the house was or whatever. But I come to find out later that it was actually filmed in Canada.
I think you said Ottawa.
Canada. Ottawa. Yeah, I think so. Although now that this is take two, I don't remember. But in Canada, so there was no hope. But they did mention in the movie that it was in Braintree.
Yeah, which is crap, because Braintree is a city right next to Boston. It's not a tiny little suburb, rural area community. It's...
Well, and there's also no bridge. No bridge goes to Braintree. Was it Wisecap? Was it him that said it?
Whatever the lawyer's name was, yeah, the stupid name
I'm pretty sure it was Wisecap because I loved the fact that his name was Wisecap. But
Bob
he
Balaban,
said...
Whoever Bob Balaban was.
His name, Bob Balaban. So many B's, it just...
Yes, from Seinfeld.
But from Seinfeld. He said, well, I came over from the bridge and people were coming home instead of going in, so there was not traffic wasn't bad or something like that. I don't have a sense of direction or anything like that, but I've been to Braintree quite a few times and bridges are not involved because I hate bridges. I'm actually terrified of bridges, so I would remember a bridge.
The only two bridges are the bridges to the Cape, which is a good 45 minutes away, or the Zakim in Boston. Neither of which are bridges that you would cross to get to Braintree.
Why would you if you were coming from the Cape going into Braintree, why would you reference the bridge as a passing to get to Braintree? That's just your natural, when I leave the Cape, I go over a bridge.
Well, we're from Massachusetts, so you're taking into account that the movie is not always geared to...
Then why did they mention it was from Massachusetts?
I'm really stretching here. I don't have a good answer. It was a dumb plot
They
piece
should have
that
just not
they added,
said where
I
it
don't
was
know.
from. Period.
Yeah, it was a terrible decision on their part, and they should have sourced the material a little bit more involved or more in depth before they put in a
bothered me a lot.
bullshit bridge. Yes, it aggravated the hell out of me. Honestly,
Even though they only mentioned it once, but
Yes.
like I clung to that like pretty hardcore. Anyway, but also, what time period was this set in?
I honestly don't know. The writer was in like the 60s or 70s, and then it looked like 30 years from there. So it's anywhere from 2000 to 1990, somewhere in there. I mean,
Right. So the lady Polly died in like the 1700s, 1800s, something.
the 1800s. I
Okay,
believe.
so she died in the 1800s. Then Mrs. Blum was a writer in like 1960-ish when Polly haunted her.
Well, yeah, Polly is the ghost, to clarify, that died in the 1800s.
Right.
And
So Polly died in like the 1800s. She's a ghost that's in Mrs. Blum's house. She then haunted Mrs. Blum approximately 1960-ish.
1960, 70, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Right. And then
Yeah.
Lily came while Mrs. Blum's old and decrepit, so we're assuming like 30-ish years later. So like the 90s. But the house is still very much in the 60s
Well,
with
yeah,
a rotary phone.
old people don't like change, darling. It's
So Lily decided to not have a cell phone with solidarity with the house?
I don't have an explanation.
I would just
It's-
really need to know because it really bothers
It
me.
facilitates the plot of her not having any contact with the outside world. Is really what it comes down to.
But like that doesn't
there's-
make sense.
there-
You're going to be a hospice nurse and move around to all these other houses
Don't
and not
work for
have
me.
a cell phone?
I didn't write the movie. I didn't write the script for this. I'm not responsible for the content that they put into this movie and the lack of thought that went into certain scenes. This is not on me. This is on the director and the script writers and so forth. They clearly did not think this through in that regard, and it bothered both of us.
Well, fine.
I want to know who in the hell slaps themselves and talks to inanimate objects. Like, how is that a thing?
Someone who's mentally ill?
No, bitch be crazy. Like, that's just no. Just no.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, first of all, let's pause. Talking to yourself, we all do that.
No, she wasn't talking to herself. She was talking to flowers, a TV. She was talking to other various inanimate
Don't you
objects.
sometimes, like, I mean, I talk to
I
my
don't
dog,
say,
like, all
oh,
of the time.
Cher, thank you for letting me sit on you. No,
But I talk to my dog. I tell her my life story. She's
yes,
not
the
gonna-
dog is alive.
But she can't respond.
Nothing else can hear you. You can't. A chair can't hear you. A desk can't hear you. Why? No, it's crazy.
She was
Batshit
going crazy because she was stuck in that house for too
Batshit
long.
crazy. Batshit crazy.
Too long. She's a hospice nurse. She's not supposed to be in these houses for longer than 1 to 2 months. She was there for 11. She went crazy.
Yeah.
She went psycho.
So, yeah, I just couldn't understand that. She had a fairly pronounced case of resting bitch face as well.
Well,
Like,
right. So
She
that,
just looked angry all of the time.
but that brings up she's pretty. We've established she's pretty because I mean the title is "I Am the Pretty Thing" and she is the narrator.
Well, so she's prettier than the run-of-the-mill person that you see on the street, certainly. But by Hollywood standards, no.
Do you say that because her eyebrows scare you and you feel like she's going to attack you if you don't say that?
Yeah, I feel like she's watching me right now to this moment. Yes,
Well,
it's terrifying.
I
live in
could
the-
definitely understand that.
I live under the constant fear of her popping out from somewhere with that face.
She feels like she'd be like the perfect actress for like a horror movie or something like that.
Well, she played a serial killer in a TV show that I like called Luther. It's a British TV show from BBC.
Is she British?
I believe so.
Oh, she did a really good job of hiding the accent.
Well, she has an accent in the show. I don't know if it's whether she's English or not, but on the BBC publication, she has an accent.
So she can play a serial killer and be badass, but in this movie, she is such a bitch that she dies from seeing a ghost.
Spoiler, she dies from seeing a ghost. But yes.
That's not a spoiler. You read it on Wikipedia. That's not a spoiler. We don't know how she died.
Well, yes, but we're saying this when people haven't actually watched the movie. But yes,
right.
so she dies from seeing a ghost because
You
that's
think. You don't know
that's,
how she
that's
died.
the only explanation I can come up with.
You come up
Yes.
with, you read it on Wikipedia.
Right.
Only
We
explanation
all have
you
our
could
sources.
read online.
We all have our sources. Thank you, darling.
Fake news.
Don't use that ever again under any circumstances. Now, I mean, believe I've seen a ghost, but
No, you have not.
I was a child at the time in Salem, Mass.
Define child.
12, 14, somewhere there.
No.
Early-
But okay,
early
let's
teens?
hear about this.
Early
What
teens?
kind of ghost did you see?
Little child skipping through a cemetery at 10 o'clock at night, unsupervised, and then she just disappeared.
What was she wearing?
Like old-timey 1800s garb.
Why are all ghosts from the 1800s?
I don't know. It's their
Are they
thing.
the only people that die?
No, it's their thing. I don't know. Well,
Was there no heaven back then or
well,
something?
in the United States, there weren't a whole lot of people here before about 1700.
Yeah, but what about the people that died like 10 years ago? Did they not become ghosts? You never see like modern ghosts.
Maybe they're still in orientation for being dead. I don't know which one.
There's like a process and it
there's
takes
a probation
like 1,000
period.
years.
There's a probationary period.
It's only creepy if they're old timey, so you must wait here until.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't have an answer other than she looked like she was from the 1800s and she was a little girl, about 5, 6 years old, skipping through a cemetery and then she just disappeared.
I mean, if that's what it was, then it's obviously legit.
Well, I don't have an explanation for it.
What cemetery? Like where?
In Salem, Mass, where they murdered all the people that were suspected of witchcraft.
Was she suspected of witchcraft?
I have no idea. Probably.
A little girl?
I mean, they killed lots of people.
So, you think she was a nice ghost? And she was a witch? This seems
Suspected
contradictory.
of being a witch. You don't have to be a witch to have people execute you for being a witch because they think you are.
That's true. You just basically have to be a woman that, like, has
Is
an
free
attitude
thinking
or
and
something.
independent.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I think I just need to go to Salem for Halloween to so now I can say I saw a child in a cemetery.
Well, it's fantastic. It's a great experience. I recommend it highly.
Can you introduce me to your ghost friend?
I don't know if I can try.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I just want to meet her. I just want to see if she's real.
I don't know if ghosts are available on demand. It's not like a TiVo. You can't just click a button and have a ghost appear.
Well, I mean, if it's really a hologram, then you could, so...
Well, yes, but this is back when I was a child, which was...
Would holograms not exist back then? I don't know how old holograms are.
Well, I'm 31, and I saw her at 12 years old, so that's 19 years.
Well, she could still be there. She's been there for 1,000 years.
200.
Oh.
Good math.
We tried.
And failed. All right. So, I really hated that chair on the wall, upside down. It bothered the crap out of me.
No, I thought that was cool, and I read that back then in like the 60s and stuff, people put chairs on the wall and these chair hangers to save space.
No, it was just dumb and set there to make the watching audience uncomfortable because it looks unusual.
But maybe it doesn't look unusual for people that lived in the 60s.
Well, they had a lot of things in this movie that were designed to make you feel uncomfortable. The soundtrack, especially, was designed to be either unsettling or irritating, I felt.
Really? A soundtrack in a horror movie was designed to make you unsettled?
Yes, it was, in fact.
I'm so surprised.
Wow.
That must be like a new innovation.
First time I've ever seen it, honestly. I mean, or heard it, rather.
Yeah, I've never seen music, but, you know,
Yeah.
good for you for figuring that one out. Must be because I didn't wear my glasses.
And what kind of nurse chews on a stranger's phone cord? Like that just...
It was disgusting. But that whole phone situation was a little strange to begin with. That phone cord, you could see it being pulled before it was pulled away from her, and she couldn't notice. So that had to be, like, one of the most, like, buoyant, like, phone cords. If you can't feel it being pulled, it's just...
I mean, combine that with the phone ringtone from Manchurian Candidate, you have the worst phone ever of all time.
Pretty much. I mean, that's like the uber terrible phone.
That ringtone from Manchurian Candidate mixed with that floating bullshit
ringtone? It was a landline. There's no ringtones on a landline.
It's the ringing sound on the phone. You know what I mean.
You're mixing your errors here.
Oh my god. Let it go.
This is not Frozen. Wrong movie.
The author bothered me as well. Who writes a book without an ending? So she talked about it in the prequel to the book, that she's writing a book but not having an ending.
No.
What the hell?
She did not say she did not have an ending at all. She said the ending to Polly's story was not given to her. So maybe she came up with some other ending to make the book a cohesive book, but Polly wouldn't give her the ending of her story, so...
So you make shit up. I don't care. You need an ending.
Well, I mean, do we know what Polly's ending was? She died by some
hatchet
person
murdering
thing.
It was definitely a man. It's not a...
Who was he, though? Like, was he her father, her brother, her husband, her
husband or boyfriend
cousin,
would be my guess.
Random guy who broke into her house and killed her?
Well, she wouldn't have a blindfold on if a stranger was breaking into her house with a hatchet, I would guess. I would say that it's probably someone that she trusted. Probably
we don't
undeservingly
know why
so,
she had the blindfold on.
I don't know why, but he had impressive mutton chops and they just went straight to hatchet murder.
Do we even know who he was, like, at all?
No.
Like the actor or anything?
No. Just escalated very quickly.
I don't even understand, like, how we even got there in that part of the movie. I was just like, oh my god, somebody's dying.
It was just a scene of someone walking around a house in a blindfold and then murder. It looked like they were playing some kind of game. I don't know how to explain it. It was just really odd. It just out of nowhere, she's in the house blindfolded.
Right. I mean, I read online that back in the 19th century, they'd play a lot of parlor games with blindfolds. So there was a bunch of parlor games that I looked up, and like some of them were super creepy, but a lot of them required blindfolds.
Really?
Well, yeah. So like there was one called "Are You There, Moriarty?" and basically you lay down with blindfolds on and you're holding hands and you hit the other person with a newspaper on the head, and then.
That doesn't sound very nice.
No, it doesn't, but it basically, whoever hits the person wins.
I volunteer to be the person hitting people.
Right?
Not being hit, definitely.
Right. I mean, I just liked it because it's Moriarty and he's my favorite villain ever, but I mean, there were a few others that were really creepy, but their games back then were like super creepy. Like, is it just without TVs, you just want to creep yourself out? Like, is that...
Yeah, life sucked back then. Like, a lot of things sucked back then.
Thank you for the update.
Well... I mean,
doesn't explain why there should be creepy games. We should have happy-go-lucky games.
People died all the time back then. Maybe it wasn't creepy to them. I don't know.
Knocking your friend over the head with a newspaper while laying on the ground?
I mean, I would enjoy hitting someone with a newspaper just if they were annoying me, honestly.
Well, I mean, I enjoy hitting you with a newspaper right about now, but...
Well, thank God you don't have a newspaper. And stop looking for things around the room. That's not okay.
I just thought we could use a substitute. No.
No.
Oh well, but so she must have been doing some type of parlor game like that, like hide and go seek or something like that. But even the way she was walking, like, did she think she was gonna like walk off a plank or something? Because she was like putting her feet in front of one of the other, like as if she was afraid she was gonna fall off something. But she's in a house, so I was very confused by that. Like
hitting a wall with your face.
Yeah, but you're going so slow. If you hit the wall, you just dip.
I still would rather avoid hitting the wall with my face. So
I would rather
slowly.
avoid not walking around with a blindfold on my face.
It was... She made a poor decision, and it wound up getting her hatchet murdered.
And then buried in the wall.
Oh, she got a cask of Amontillado in that wall.
You just really love making references like that, eh?
Well, it's an Edgar Allan Poe short story, and it's fantastic. It's about a guy that gets walled up in a wine cellar.
I know, I've read it.
Well, so why is that a bad reference to make? It's completely appropriate for someone who gets walled into a house.
But I don't understand how she got walled into the house, we're assuming in the...
1800s.
Right. And then her body was removed because...
Oh, it would have smelled after like 3 days, yeah.
I can't imagine it wouldn't. Right. And then black mold showed up in the 1990s.
Well... Black mold can show up from anything.
But
even after a period of time, yeah. That totally makes sense to me.
Oh yeah, it's no big deal. Like, I mean, it was just like a lot of time that passed and just nothing happened. Sure.
Maybe a pipe leaked or something happened and the black mold got on a little bit of the blood residue that had dried up and caused mold.
Or maybe Lily is cray-cray and she made it all up in her head because she read all the books and so she...
Well, that's a theory. I mean, I don't know. Something was going on in that house, clearly.
I think Lily was cray-cray.
Well, can you stop saying cray-cray? Can you say crazy? Or batshit?
I try not to swear. You know, I'm sensible that way.
Yeah, sensible. So sensible.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, so one thing I did want to mention was I'm pretty certain that this movie was based off of a short story. called The Yellow Wallpaper.
Okay.
Because the short story was basically about a woman who was kept captive in her bedroom by her husband, and there was this like weird wallpaper all around her, and she started envisioning a woman living in the wallpaper, and kind of like this Lily lady envisioning Polly being in the walls. But the wallpaper in the short story looks a lot like the green background of Mrs. Blum's books.
You did mention the first time I didn't believe you, but then I looked at it again, and you're right. It does very much look that way.
It does, right?
Yes.
See? Thank you. I appreciate you listening to me sometimes.
Yes. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I only saw angry robot wallpaper when I looked at it, honestly.
Oh, I forgot about the angry robot. Did you ever look that up to know what it actually was?
No, I didn't look at the picture, but it still looks like angry robot wallpaper from what I remember. Like, just that's all I can say.
It could be robots. Like maybe it was like 70s. Maybe Mrs. Blum like had a 70s redo.
I have no earthly explanation. Honestly, it just
that whole house is just the error of the house was just very confusing for me.
Yeah.
But
I still can't get over how mean she looked, and she was died at seeing a ghost. That's like, what happened?
I feel like, though, we don't know that, but I mean, didn't you say before that you were upset about the fact that she died in front of a window, and then...
Yes, I blame Mrs. Blum's death on the repairman or the handyman that came out of the house and didn't notice the dead body.
I mean, okay, so
He looked through the window. How do you miss a dead body?
Okay, but let's role play here for a minute. So, say you're a delivery man, and you walk up to a house, and you knock on the door, and no answer, and then you look and you see somebody, and they look like they're asleep on the floor. What are you gonna do?
At the bottom of the stairs?
What the? You don't know. Maybe they had a nice wild drinking night the night before, and they passed out. You gonna find out?
Yes, I'm going to call the cops and I'll order a wellness check because they could be dead.
But why? You don't even know them. You don't even know who lives in there.
It looks like a dead body at the bottom of a staircase.
But we don't know that it looked like a dead body. There's probably no blood. She had a heart attack. If she died of fright.
Well, right, but she's still lying face down on the floor. She
wasn't face down. She was on their side.
Whatever, she's still at the bottom of a staircase.
Maybe she had a wild night drinking.
And fell down the staircase and died.
I feel like that's not the first thing I would think of, though. I would just be like, oh man, they had a night, eh?
I would probably show a little bit more concern and compassion for my fellow human, but...
I'm the person that when someone knocks on my door, I hide in my bedroom and pretend like I'm not home. So
maybe you're not the best judge of asking for help.
Or maybe I'm like everybody else and you're just too nice for your own good.
I just view it as my civic duty. Let's leave it at that.
I would be so mad if somebody ordered a wellness check on me because I decided to sleep on my own floor.
In front of the door and missing an appointment that you had called to a schedule?
It's my house. My appointment to miss.
No, but you look dead on the floor. I'm definitely calling the police and having them at least look at you and say, ma'am, are you okay?
You're nosy.
Or I'm going to say, ma'am, are you okay?
Maybe he did. And she didn't answer. Duh, she's dead.
Well, right. And if you don't answer, okay. We might have a dead body. I don't know. Could you please send somebody out to check?
You're too nice for your own good.
I don't understand how that's not standard.
Protocol?
No, just standard human behavior.
I don't know. I'm not that nosy. I would just be like, they're tired. Bye.
She also bothered the hell out of me by walking around without a light on. No wonder she fell down the stairs, according to the handyman. He probably was like, oh, she walks around without a light on. She killed herself by walking down the staircase without a light on.
Because you walk around with all lights on. Oh, actually, right. Like, look at my house right now. Every light is on in my house, and you've only been here for, 20 minutes.
I don't remember putting on any of the lights, honestly.
Are you kidding me right now?
I put the office light on, yeah, because we're in the office.
And you put that light on when you walked in the door. I do not turn on lights because my eyes adjust. And I don't like spending money on electricity.
It's like $4.
That's my $4.
Okay. So I just assume spend the $4.
That's our coffee.
I will also spend the money on the coffee. I don't understand why those are mutually exclusive. Why can't you have electricity that you pay for and a coffee?
Well, but why should I put lights on if I don't need them?
But that's what they're for.
But I don't need them. Oh,
but that's what they're for.
I don't need them.
All right. I don't know anything else to add other than a couple things actually. Who in the hell is the lawyer that doesn't send out someone to fix the mold right away?
Well, right. He was the guy who said it's the cosmetic, it's the flesh of the house, not the bones. Creepy as hell to begin with. Cool line, but creepy as hell. But I don't think it was the flesh of the house, not the bones. Mold gets into everything and can kill you, so it's a health hazard.
Yeah. And she also reached into a box and grabbed the moldiest thing that she could find.
And then imagined mold all over her, which, by the way, mental illness again, because why would she imagine that?
Well, maybe there was mold and she was hallucinating from the mold.
Maybe the mold has made her batty, and maybe that's why she has a mental illness.
Exactly. The mold is the problem.
We figured it out. She died of mold illness. Whoop whoop.
All right. Good for us. And then the only other last thing that I noticed is that the lawyer had said something about the house being in the estate and going to a writer, but at the end of the movie there's a child in the house, so that what happened to that?
Right. My only thought was that maybe the writer had a family, but I'm pretty sure they said something about
a young single woman writer or something like that.
Right. So maybe because she died and they figured screw her.
That was the plan, though. She was dead. That was the whole plan all along when he said it. He said her once she dies, she wants to live in the house till she dies, and the house goes to a writer. Is what he said.
Well, he lied.
Yeah,
he didn't seem to care very much about her anyway.
He was full of crap. Yeah, he did not. He was like, "Oh, you don't have to stay here for more than another year or two. She'll die soon."
Right, and he was like, "Right, you're sure she's gonna die.
Please
right?
stay. I don't want to find someone else. She's gonna die."
Right, you're sure. Dead. Year, 2.
He seemed more concerned with having to find another nurse rather than her being alive.
Right. He didn't care about her at all. But anyway, so what was your overall feeling of the movie?
I liked the movie for the most part. I mean, I didn't have any major problems with the movie.
Are you sure about that? Considering I listened to the last take. I'm just wanting to let you know.
I plead the fifth on that one, and that is lost for all time, thankfully. But no, it was fine. Some interesting cinematography choices in terms of the shot setup where they're falling around and looks like you're walking with a flashlight. A couple scenes where all the shots were intentionally fuzzy, but I mean it was fine. It was good. It was just a little bit.
I thought it was okay. It wasn't. I thought it was going to be more scary, horror-ish, because it was on the horror side of things in Netflix.
Scary
but
at all.
no,
I was waiting for something to happen and nothing happened.
Yeah. So it wasn't exactly what I expected, but I didn't hate it. So if I had to rate it, I would say I don't know, 7 out of 10.
I'd probably go 6.
Yeah.
6 out of 10.
Yeah. So what are we doing next week?
Next week is going to be Last of the Mohicans. Neither of us have seen it. It's Daniel Day-Lewis. We both love Daniel Day-Lewis, so should be good. Hopefully. Also set in kind of our area. It's New York or Boston or that horror area during the French and Indian War.
We're still up in the air on that. Until we see the movie, we won't really know. But
supposedly.
It's set in New England.
Right? No, Mid-Atlantic is New York, technically.
Damn. All right, well, we tried. Okay, I did want to, real quickly, before we run out of time, because we're kind of running out, just say thank you to everyone who's left reviews. We have 3 people right now. We have Joe, we have Mom of 5 Indiana, and K Foley 1. Now I found 2 of these people, but I have not been able to find Mom of 5 Indiana. So if you can drop us an email, we just would really like to thank you, and also send us any movie recommendations you have, because we are trying to take recommendations as often as we can. I also did want to say thank you real quick to Jake from Mathis Music for our intro and outro music, and as well as thank you to Rachel St. Pierre for our logo. So I guess that's it for this week. We will be back next week with Last of the Mohicans. Thank you.